Hey guys, AJ with Relentless Racing. Welcome back to the channel. In our previous episode, we talked about the rear wheel bearings, the rear hubs, and ARP extended studs. In part 3 of the MR2 Spyder rear knuckle rebuild, we're actually going to talk about the suspension arms which attach to the rear knuckles. We'll be installing the T3 or Techno Toy Tuning rear traction links, rear toe links, and rear lower control arms. There are many reasons why people install adjustable suspension arms. The stance guys and the show car guys are typically doing it for scene points, but we're installing the T3 suspension arms for additional performance on track. Installing the T3 suspension arms allows for more adjustment of camber, caster, and toe, and mastering these adjustments can lead to better handling on track. Let's get started. Wrapped very well from T3. And it looks like this piece is coated very well. And then also if you look at this heim joint, it is a very large heim joint and it is an extended heim joint. There's also a nice section cut in here for your wrench so you can hang on to it. Obviously there's two of them, and then you get this hardware right here. So this piece must be for here, and then there's some misalignment pieces right in here. So these things go on either side of this guy. And then you also get this bushing right here with some silicone grease. So before we put this thing on, we're going to add a piece to this guy right over here. So what I like to do is I like to use these little boots made by a company called Seals It. And then you put this little tool to get on like this, stretch this thing over like that, and then this thing just slides into it. Check it out. Bam. Come on, there we go. And so that'll protect it from, whatever kind of weather there is, and it helps this thing last a little bit longer. And of course you could replace these guys when they wear out. So let's open up the second one and do the exact same thing, and I'll time lapse it. This is the heim joint out of the rear traction arm, or strut rod as they call it in the OEM service manual. But check out how long this thing is. This thing's probably like, I think it's like 82 inches long. It's about 80 inches long worth of thread, which is badass. So thanks so much for T3 putting that out. And that way I wanted to check this just so I could adjust it and make sure that I have enough thread engagement. But with this 80 millimeters about of thread right here, thread engagement won't be an issue. For the traction arm, I'm going to make the traction arm the same size as the OE one. If you're doing a track car, maybe the strut rod will be the closest to OE, the length, but the other ones should be completely different. So this strut rod will help take the wheel and move it front to back within the fender. So let's start out with that. But again, this is just a starting point. We're gonna have to adjust all that stuff. You can see here that I put a bolt through here, and then this guy is a little bit shorter. So I'm just going to loosen it up a little bit. It's almost there. Obviously I loosened these jam nuts. That one's a regular right-hand thread. This is a left-hand thread. You could see how it has that little notch in it right there. That's how you could tell. And then when I put this bolt in here, I also put in the misalignment shim in there as well. So that way it centers it. Otherwise it won't be centered. That looks close enough. That looks pretty good. Get them at level right there. Maybe just a little bit like that. So now I'm going to tighten these guys down. So just so we don't scratch anything, I'm going to take this guy like this, and then this is left-hand thread. So we're going to make like we're loosening it. And again, this is just to get us started. Okay, now we're just going to install this guy. Okay, we're going to stick these guys into here. Just kind of stuff them in there. Give them a quick shove. Put this guy on this side. And you'll figure it out, and then give it a good shove as well. Now, let's go to the vehicle. Here we are on the right side, and this is for the rear traction arm on the right, or the rear strut rod, as they call it in the manual. So you're going to take this guy, and you're going to apply some Kung Fu grip to squeeze this guy, to squeeze the two misalignment shims, and then she should fit right in through here. So give it a good squeeze. Once it's in there, you're going to shove that guy in there, and then you're going to use a hammer to get it, or a mallet, in the right position. So mallet, and I'm just going to tap on the back of it a little bit. And then we're going to apply this nylock right here. Okay, here's the rubber bushing, and we're going to put it right here. But before we do, we got to apply some of this grease on here, and you could apply it liberally. Just kind of wrap it around this guy like that. A little bit on the inside of that thing, and then we obviously have to do this one as well. And I just push this thing, take it by hand, push it in, right? And then I can take this one, do the same thing. Then you take the middle section, lube that guy up as well, a little bit more grease. And then make sure the inside is greased. Now, how the hell are we gonna get this in here? So the key is this Irwin clamp. Just kind of set this guy up like this, and you just get it in there, line it up as best as you can, and then push that guy in. Give it a good squeeze, release, and voila. And then we're going to stick this guy up like this, put the bolt in from the back side, again coated with anti-seize, put our washer on, and then we put our nylock on. Recall that we set this thing to the OEM length, or close to it as best we could. And setting the lengths for the lower control arm and for the rear toe arm are a little bit different. Someone once said that, oh, you should set everything to OE. Well, if you're setting everything to OE, why would you use these arms? Maybe it's for scene points, I don't know. But for track, these guys are going to be different. And let me explain to you guys what I do. What I do is I place the knuckle in the most negative camber that I can get it. So I'll rock the top of this thing totally in as much as I can. Setting the rear knuckle to the most negative camber possible shortens the rear lower control arms and rear toe lengths. This in turn minimizes the chance of the right tripod falling out of the cup. If you didn't understand what I just said, you need to check out my video called Project Silver Episode 7, The Resurrection. I'll add the link into the description. So, I followed kind of what I did on Project Silver because this car is going to be set up very similar to Project Silver. So this guy right here, which is the rear toe arm, was set just like Project Silver. And then I'll make this one match this because once it has 2 points, I'll have to make this one the correct length. Now, yes, the axle's missing. I don't have the axles right now, so I'm just putting it together for you guys, putting together the video so you guys can see what happens. Now, if you don't have that prior knowledge of setting these guys, it's kind of a little bit of a guessing game. And for me, it's really important to make sure that the wheel is positioned in the fender properly. The part of the bumper is missing here, but position the wheel so that way it was equally spaced within here, and this drives that, the rear strut bar. And then as you start, playing with, you can kind of see how much it moves. It can move quite a bit. So the wheel could be offset just a little bit, but attempt to set that first and then start playing with your camber and your toe with the toe arm and the lower control arm, and then you'll still inevitably have to adjust the strut arm. And what happens is when you set the car down, this will move. So you kind of have to set it, let the car down, and then work with it, and then adjust it, put it back up, readjust, do your thing, set it back down, and you're constantly going to be playing with it. If you have a good alignment guy, he can help you out. All right, let's get started and let's put on this guy right here. And again, this is the rear toe arm. You can tell which side that this goes on because see how it's so long here? This is the part that goes into the clevis, and this is the part that attaches to the knuckle right here, kind of like that. So let's get started with that first. And also, all of the hardware that I worked with, this guy and all of these guys have all been pre-lubricated with anti-seize. So again, anti-seize is your friend. Let's get started. For the rear toe arm, just like I said, this longer section right here, this is the lug or the heim joint, and this is the clevis that it fits into. So we've got to put these guys on there, the misalignment shims, on both sides of this guy, just like this. And again, these are pre-lubricated with anti-seize. Once we put these things in here, I'm going to give them a good squeeze with an adjustable wrench. So give it a good squeeze like this. Just like that. And sometimes you'll get lucky and you'll be able to put this in there just like this. Oh, hey, look, we got lucky. Now, you're going to take your bolt, and I like to put the bolt this way. So you also have to put these guys in here. These lock out the camber or the toe setting on these things, because this used to have a non-concentric in there. So they put these guys on there, these lockout plates. Got to align these guys. There we go. And then these lockout plates, the longer section goes down, just like that. And then we're going to lock this guy in. Make sure that your lockout plates are positioned properly, and so that way they actually lock in. And then we're going to move to the outside. So make sure you lubricate that guy with anti-seize, lubricate this guy with anti-seize, and the orientation of this thing is very special. So you've got this piece, it goes in this way on this side of the heim joint. Okay, I just put that guy in. And then look at this guy. See how the fatter section, the fatter OD, that goes towards the inside. And then I'm talking about this little guy right here. See, it's fatter right there? That goes toward the inside. And then we really want to fix this guy right here. And so I want to get this guy out of it. Put this guy in. So you're going to have to finagle with this thing. It's probably not a good idea to do it with this tool, but I'm going to do it anyhow. The key is you don't want to rip it. Okay, I got it over. Awesome. And then we're going to stretch this guy over here. Put that guy in there. Give it a good shove. Put our nut on the other side. So now let's lock this guy down. And again, we're only locking it down tentatively right now. At alignment, this will change. And to lock this thing down, we're going to rotate that like that. This is the left-hand thread right there. And again, we're just going to lock this guy down real quick. And this is a temporary torque. We will adjust this at alignment. And that's the rear toe arm. Okay, let's get this lower control arm, and we're going to do the same thing that we did on the rear toe arm. So let's grab the right pieces. Here we are right here with this hardware, and we got to put this guy together. Same thing as last time. Put one on each side, the alignment shim, misalignment shim rather. All pre-lubricated with anti-seize. And then we're going to give it a good squeeze, like this. Are we going to get lucky? We got lucky. So now we have to get this guy, it's a little bit short, you can kind of see it right here. So we could rotate this guy like this. And all I'm doing is I'm lengthening the rod. And then this one on the front side, like this. That's good. Now, we got to bring this thing up. Let's see if it's in the right location. Sometimes you got to do a little pry bar on this thing to open it up a little bit. Let's take a look at it closer. So you can see this clevis right here, and you can kind of see the misalignment spacers, and it looks like it just needs to open up just a tiny bit. So you could kind of push this guy up like this, and then try your best to open this thing up. Sometimes you can get it. Other times you have to do some funky stuff. So I'm just using a pry bar to try and open this a little bit. And once it's open enough, give it a whack from the bottom, and there you go. And now we're going to look at the holes from the sides and see how we're doing. So here's the side view. Look at it. We're just a little bit half moon. Let's go up just a little bit. Now it looks like it needs to come back just a little bit. So let's rotate the arm and pull it back just a little bit. So you can kind of see that it's getting a little bit shorter. Let's go just a little bit more, just a hair. There, she's aligned. Now the bolt should drop right through. Like I said, the bolt should drop right through. Okay. Almost. There we go, we got her. And then put the nut on the other side, and we're gonna give her a good lockdown. And let's give her a little bit of torque. Okay, let's not forget to lock the length of the lower control arm down. So again, this is tentative, and we'll change that at alignment. So let's just give it a quick lockdown. Left hand thread on the outside right here. Okay, let's final torque. Gotta say that T3 did a really nice job of figuring out these designs. So on the rear strut rod or the traction bar, obviously this is an easy heim joint, but they extended this guy so that way you can actually tighten this jam nut. They also did a really nice job of figuring out this rubber bushing right here. And on the lower control arm, they did the same thing. They extended this heim joint right here so you wouldn't have any issues tightening this guy. They have the misalignment spacers within here, and then over here, the rear knuckle bearing. Really good job on the design on this thing, and obviously that rear knuckle bearing, the bearing that's inside, is serviceable, so you can take that thing out and put another one in, and you can do that on car as well. And then on the rear toe arm, they did a nice job again. Over here, they made this guy a little bit longer, this heim joint, so that way you don't have any issues with tightening this jam nut right here. Really nice finish on there, great attention to detail. And then this heim joint, they really figured it out how to get this guy to make this ball joint work properly. All in all, I'm really impressed with the T3 stuff. So check out the link, that's technotoytuning.com. And thanks again to Techno Toy Tuning for graciously providing me with these suspension arms. This is the final video in this series, but wait, there's more. Subscribe and hit that notification button, and in the next video, we're going to talk about the T3 front sway bar, the GTX2 front lower control arms and TC rods, and the ultimate tie rod package. This is AJ with Relentless Racing. Stay relentless, and I'll see you on the track.